Alrighty, here we go. Algebra 2 Common Core. This is the first one ever. Hopefully the next one's a little bit easier in some cases and the same in others. But anyway, my name is Mr. Krause. For the next little while, you'll call me Mr. Key. All of this information can be found at www.N stands for Newman, K stands for Krause, infinity.com. All right, so if you're looking for something, it's there. That's what you want to go to right there. Make sure you hit subscribe because as I go through the year, I'm going to be adding more review material, more review videos, idea on how to get flashcards, all kinds of stuff that you can use to answer your questions. Okay, so this part is going to be parts, and hopefully you came to the right place, parts 2 through 4. All the part 2 questions, the part 3 questions, and that part 4 question. So let's get started. All right, let's start out with an easy one. I say easy because, well, it's relatively easy. There it is. Okay. Now on this one, I hope your teachers teach you about lowest common denominator. Lowest common denominator. In this case, my lowest common denominator is 3x. So I'm going to multiply through by 3x. 3x. Now when I do that, here the x's cancel, and I'm left with 3. The 3's cancel, and I'm left with minus x equals, now the 3x and the 3x cancel, leaves me negative 1. Subtract 3, I get negative x equals negative 4, or x equals positive 4. Now, I would suggest that if you can, check it. Check your answers. I mean, there's no reason not to check your answers. Come over here. Oops, got all this mess from earlier. I'm going to take 4 and store it into x. This is one of those cases where you have to use the answer you came up with. And then 1 over x, control division, 1 over x. Minus 1/3, minus 1 divided by 3, enter, is equal to negative 1/12. Now put in negative control division, 1 over 3x. Both are negative 1/4. You know you got it right. Put a big C, star it up, write your dear grader. Ka-ching. Nailed it. Leave your grader a note. They enjoy it. It's a lot more fun to grade when you have fun things kids are saying. So describe how a controlled experiment can be created to examine the effects of ingredient X in toothpaste. Well, first and foremost, brush your teeth. It's disgusting. Okay, we've got to have like a little bit of oral hygiene there. Brush your teeth. Second of all, let's talk about it. Step 1. Now, step 1 is incredibly important, and without step 1, you can't get full credit for this. You need to randomize your groups. So, step 1, create two random groups from your test subjects. However you do this, you need to create 2 random groups. You need to come up with some kind of randomization technique and come up with 2. So the first step is random. If you fail to put the word random, you're only going to get 1 out of 2 points on this problem. Step 2 should be very obvious. Choose one group to receive and use, of course, you got to use your toothpaste, the toothpaste with ingredient X in it. The other, I don't know why I'm writing so messy. The other Man, that really is messy. Let's try to be neater. The other group then would use the exact same toothpaste without ingredient X. And what are we testing to see? And then, step 3, collect data from both groups. Now, what you do with that grade, I don't know, but that's all you needed. You need to know that you're going to randomize it and then choose one group to use the ingredient, one group not to use the ingredient. That gave you 2 points. That's all there is to it. All right. Question 27. Let me break it. I'll be right back. All right, kids, I'm going to show you three ways to do this problem. The first way is just with long division. We're going to say, okay, does x minus 5 divide evenly into 2x cubed minus 4x squared minus 7x minus 10? So let's see. How many times do I have to multiply x by to get 2x cubed? That's 2x squared. So 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative 5 is negative 10x squared. Remember, we're going to subtract. So that becomes add. So I get 6x squared minus 7x minus 10. What do I have to multiply x by? In this case, to get 6x squared, I got to multiply by 6x. So that gives me 6x squared, and 6x times negative 5 is negative 30x. Remember, you're going to subtract. So we subtract. Remember, you're going to subtract both of them. So that makes this 23x minus 10. What do I have to multiply x by to get 23? 23. So that gives me 23x. 23 times 5 is negative 115. Remember, we're going to subtract. Subtract, add. I get 110. Since x minus 5 does not divide evenly into x squared plus 6x plus 23 by the by the remainder theorem? We know x minus 5 is not a factor of 2x squared cubed minus 4x squared minus 7x minus 10. Boom. Method 1. Method 2 is even easier. It's going to be the same red answer. So everything I wrote there in red is going to be the same, except this time we're going to say, okay, if x minus 5 is a factor, then one of my roots or zeros is x equals 5. So I'm going to store x in there. I'm going to plug x in there. So I get 5 cubed minus 5 squared minus 7 times 5 minus 10. So let's see, 5 cubed is 125, so this is 250. I can use my calculator, but I want to. 25 times 4 is 100, minus 35, minus 10. 250 minus 100 is 150, minus 45. What is that, 105? Oh, this should be 105 too, by the way. Not 110. This should be 105. 105. And I get 105 here. Okay. And then same answer. So much easier work. You just had to remember that you're going to plug in 5 and not negative 5. And the final way, if your teacher taught you synthetic division, which they may or may not have, division, the root is 5. It kind of goes in the house. And we're going to write those exponents. 2, negative 4, negative 7, negative 10. Let's see how this works. Let's see if I remember. Bring down the 2. Multiply, I get 10. Add them up, I get 6. Multiply, I get 30. Add them up, I get 23. Multiply, I get 115. Add them up, I get 105. I still end up with a remainder. Same issue, same problem. Notice I end up with the same remainder every single time. So it is not a root because it does not divide evenly into it. Okay, it was only a 2-point question, so wasn't bad. All right, let's move on. Let's see if I got time. Nope. Gotta stop. Oh, righty then. Oh, gotta go to the next page. I didn't even go to the next page. So let's see what we got here. On the graph below, select graph one cycle of a cosine function with amplitude 3, period equal to pi over 2, and it's got a midline of y equals negative 1. Well, we always start with the midline, so let's get that in there. It's not part of the graph, so it has to be a dotted line. Must be a dotted line. Therefore, it's kind of like a invisible line. It's not there. You could pretend like it's not there. That's our midline, y equals negative 1. Oh, it passes through the point 0, 2. So we better plot the point 0, 2. 0, 2. I'm going to do that in a different color. We'll do that in purple. 0, 2 is right there. Probably need a scale here. 1, negative 2. That gives my scale. There's 2. There, it's going to the point 0, 2. And it's a cosine function that's going to go through that point. Well, if this is our midline, that means it looks like we're starting at a maximum. That means we need to end at a maximum. It wants us to graph one cycle. Well, if you remember correctly, isn't period defined as the time it takes to graph one cycle? Okay, if that's true, then I'm going to put a thing out here. Let's just go out 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to put pi over 2 right here. And I only want to graph one cycle. Well, what I got to remember about the cosine curve is it starts at a max, it ends at a max. So if that's true, I'm going to put that there. Now, if it starts at a max and it ends at a max, in between then is a min. So notice my amplitude is 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go to the middle and go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And in between those would be zeros. Oops, not zeros there. There would have to be zeros on the midline. Zeros on the midline. All right, then I just have to grab it. Try to hit those points. Try to hit those points. Okay, hopefully your graph looks better than that. That's it. That's all you had to do. Didn't tell you to write the equation, nothing. Just wanted a graph of one cycle, one full cycle of the cosine curve. Let's go to 14. So hopefully you learned something about probability. All right. So a suburban high school has a population of 1,376 students. So there's 1,376 students. 649 play sports. 433 play some type of music. And 974 of the 1,376 play sports or music. Now what you have to remember is there's overlap. There's going to be overlap, right? So it's kind of like here's sports, here's music. 974 play both. How many play, what does the question says? How many play just one? So this is or how many, actually the question is asking how many participate in both sports and music. And if you remember correctly, in a Venn diagram, this is kind of what we're looking for. Now the 974 is for these two. So what you got to remember then is this. The trick to remembering these is, very simply, I don't know what just happened. Man, I have a smiley face over here. I have no idea why I have a smiley face. Okay, so what you need to remember then is a formula, well, sort of a formula, that the probability of sports or music is equal to the probability of sports plus the probability of music minus their overlap, minus the probability of sports and music. All right, we know this is 974 out of 1376. We know the probability of sports is 649 out of 1376. We know the probability of music is 433 over 1376. But we don't know what the probability of sports and music is. Okay, so we're going to add these up. So we got 974 over 1376 is equal to 1376. Let's see. I didn't add those up that way. All right, let's go to my calculator. 649 plus 433. 1082 minus probability of S and M. That just does not sound right. All right, so I need to solve for this, so I'm going to subtract 1,082 over 1,376, subtract 1,082 over 1,376, and what I get is negative 108 over 1376 is equal to negative the probability of sports and music. So what is the probability of sports and music? Probability of sports and music is 108 out of 1376. Simple fractions. That's it. That's all she wrote. Not a bad problem. Okay, let's just keep going. Oh, this one was so easy you just thought you didn't know it was easy. You got confused. You got messed up. You got like, oh, focus director test, that's really hard stuff. Not really. Not really. So I'm going to put my X and Y axes, some temporary X and Y axes on here. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got the line or the directrix. It was told to me that my directrix was y equals negative 6. So there's my directrix. So I'm either going to have a parabola above or I'm going to have a parabola below. This was my equation. So 12 times y plus 3 equals x minus 4 squared. Now, if you started double distributing all this stuff out, you are going to have a wreck on your hands. So that's why it was a kind of a tricky question. But if you saw right away, I said, oh, I can just divide by 12. Divide by 12. Now, here's the trick. You want to rewrite this as y plus 3 equals, remember there's a 1 here, 1/12 x minus 4 squared. Now you're all going, oh, that's ew. That's not so bad. Now, so now we're going to subtract 3. Subtract 3. So I get y equals 1/12 x minus 4 squared minus 3. Well, you all should recognize right away that this is vertex form of a parabola, where my vertex is equal to 4 comma negative 3. So now I'm going to come over here and graph my vertex. I'll do it in green. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 3. 1, 2, 3. There's my vertex. Now, if this is my focus, and if this is my directrix, and this is my vertex, and I know my parabola is going to open up, it's actually going to be a really wide parabola. I know it's going to open up because this is positive. Then my focus has to be over here. Well, if this is 3 units, then this is 3 units. Remember, the focus and the directrix, the vertex has to be right there in the middle. So my answer to my question is right here. There is my focus. And the focus's point was 4, 0. All right. Next problem. Oh, this problem. Probably one of the easiest problems on the test that most people screwed up, because I know what happens when you see this word right here. You start to, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. What am I going to do? A lot of you tried to solve it by cross multiplying and doing some funky stuff. You can't solve a proof. You have to put a barrier in between and work with one side. And you always work with the more complicated side. So I'm going to leave this side alone, and I'm going to see if I can get this side over here to match it. Well, the only way to add fractions is to have a common denominator. Now, if this is over 1, their common denominator is x cubed plus 8. So I'm going to rewrite 1, and this is kind of an SAT prep as well, as I can rewrite 1 as anything I want. I could write it as a big flaming pile of dung over a big flaming pile of dung. If you have dung over dung, you got 1, and you got a mess, but it's still 1. So I can write it any way I want, and since I need to have a common denominator, I'm going to write it as x cubed plus 8 over x cubed plus 8. This big thing right here is just a 1. So to that, I'm going to add 1 over x cubed plus 8. Now, don't change the left side. Left side is still what it is. But the right side, now that I have a common denominator, I can add them up, x cubed plus 8. And if I add these up, I get x cubed plus 9. That's it. There was one other way of solving this question. Probably not too many people would have thought of it, but there was one other way to prove it. And what you could do is work from the left side and do this division. So you could have done x cubed plus 8 divided into x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x plus 8. And said to yourself, okay, what do I got to multiply by? X squared. Nope, x. Oh, wait a second. X cubed plus 8, I just multiply by 1. 1 times that is x cubed, because it's already x cubed here, and I already got an x cubed here, so it's just 1. Multiply 1 plus 8. And then I come through and I subtract. Oh, this is plus 9. Jeez, that's what's messing me up. This is plus 9. So I'm dividing, that's what's messing me up. This should be a 9. I'm dividing x cubed plus 8 into x cubed plus 0x plus 9. So if I do that, 1 times this is x cubed plus 8, x cubed plus 8. And I'm going to subtract. I get a remainder of 1. So this ends up being 1 plus 1 over x cubed plus 8, which is what the other side is. Not too many people would have saw that long division thing right there, but you could have done it that way as well. All righty, I think we're on the last part 2 question. Let's see, last part 2 question. So what do we got here? It says a house purchased 5 years ago for $100,000 sold for $135,000. We want to know the percent increase. So if I'm working on one of these, that's percent growth, right? This is exponential growth. So I know my equation. F of t, whatever you want to call it, is equal to, well, let's see, what's it called? value. How about we use value of t? V of t is equal to, we start value times 1 plus rate. I don't know what the rate is. It's rate. And we know we did it for 5 years. So there's my equation. Whatever the interest rate is, I don't know. But there's my equation. Now, where am I going to use the 135? Well, that's my current value. Actually, this should be to the t. That's the equation. This is my current value, and I'm doing it for 5 years. So 135,000 is equal to 100,000, 1 plus r to the 5. All right, so now we've got to solve for the weird thing, get the weird thing alone. Here's the weird thing. So we're going to divide by 100,000. Divide by 100,000. That's it. The zeros go 135 over 100. That would be 27 over 20. You can create it to a decimal. It doesn't matter. 27 over 20 is equal to 1 plus r to the 5. Well, my exponent is not a variable, so this isn't something I have to turn into a logarithmic question. My exponent is not a variable. I just need to get rid of that 5. And the way to get rid of a 5, for the second or third time today, is to raise this to the reciprocal. So if this is 5 over 1, I'm going to raise it to the 1/5 power. And I got to raise this to the 1/5 power. Now over here, the 1/5 and the 5 cancel. I'm left with 1 plus r. On the right side, well, I need my calculator for that. 27 divided by 20. I should have put parentheses. Well, let's see what that is. Whatever. Raised to the control division 1/5 power. 1.6185. 6185. Now, since this is not my final answer, I shouldn't be rounding it. 875. That should probably be enough. Still got to stall for r, so I subtract 1. I subtract 1. And I end up with 0.61. Oh, I think there's a 0 missing. It's 0.0. See, I missed that 0. I knew something was missing. So 0.06, because I was about to get 61%. I knew that wasn't right. 85875 equals r. So it said round to the nearest percent. Well, in order to get the percent, you got to move this decimal place over here. So you get 6.185%. So my answer is r equals 6%. Okay, that's that one. Let's keep moving. One more. Oh, we got probably one of, I don't know, 3 points. Was this 4 points? Was this a 4-point question? 4-point question. This isn't a bad 4-point question. Here's how you do it. We're going to do it using substitution. So we're going to take this equation. We're going to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 2x. I'm going to subtract 2x. So I get 2y equals 10 minus, no, I hate putting the number first. So how about negative 2x plus 10? Then I'm going to divide by 2. Divide by 2. And I get y equals negative x plus 5. Now this is y. This is what y is equal to. So everywhere I see a y, I can replace it. Oh, there's a y. I'm going to replace that. I'm going to plug that in for that one. So now I'm going to rewrite my original equation, x minus 3 squared plus negative x plus 5 plus 2. Remember, this is that y I just created, squared equals 16. And now I have an equation with only one variable, not that difficult to solve. So this is x minus 3 times x minus 3. You have to remember squared means right twice, plus negative x plus 7, right? Plus 7 times negative x plus 7 equals 16. All right, let's double distribute this. X squared minus 6x plus 9 plus, now negative x times negative x is still positive x squared, minus 7x plus 49, right? Because this is negative 7x and negative 7x equals 16. Well, this is just a quadratic, so everything's got to come to the left. So I get 2x squared minus 6x, and this is minus 14, so that's minus 20x. 9 and 49 make 58, but I got to subtract 16, so that's plus 42 equals 0. Well, I'm going to take out a 2 because it makes my life easier. X squared minus 10x plus 21 equals 0. Factoring here now is a joke. It's x minus 3, x minus 7. So I get two x answers. X equals 3 and x equals 7. But I'm not done yet because it's a system of equations. I have to find the y values. So let me use this equation to find the y values. So let's see. Y is equal to negative x plus 5. So y is equal to 2. And over here, y is equal to negative x, 7, plus 5. Y is equal to negative 2. So my two answers, that's terrible. Terrible. Couldn't be worse. Are 3, 2 and 7, negative 2. There we go, kids. All right, so this wasn't too bad of a question. If I wrote a formula for S sub n, now I know I got a formula on my formula sheet. I'm going to take a look at it. But it said we're starting out at 33,000 and we're going to have a 4% increase. Now that means it's growth. So if I take 33,000 and multiply it by 0.04 to the n, is that really growth or is that decay? That would be decay. So in order to get a 4% growth, I need to do 1.04. 1 represents 100% of what I got plus 4% more. So now I'm going to use this formula. It's over here on your formula sheet. I got it highlighted now for you. You should have known it existed. There it is. S sub n is equal to the first term minus the first term times the rate to the n, all over 1 minus n. We're going to use that formula for our problem. I think we're on page 18. Nope, page 19. So we're going to use that formula. I'm not going to go back and look at it. I'm just going to write it down. Our formula S sub n is equal to a sub 1 minus a sub 1 r to the n all over 1 minus r. So in our case, we're going to just write it up. Let's go. 33,000 minus 33,000 times 1.04 to the n all over 1 minus 1.04. That's it. That's our formula. That is the answer to the question. Now, we're going to use this formula to figure out what is her total earnings for her first 15 years. So we're going to say, okay, S sub 15 is equal to 33,000 minus 33,000 times 1.04 to the n all over 1 minus 1.04. Well, hold on. We know what n is. N is 15. So we're going to go use our calculator. Control division. 33,000. Oh my gosh. 33,123 minus 33,123 parenthesis 1.04 parenthesis raised to the 15 all over 1 minus 1.04. Whew. 660,778. And it's money, so you got to get to the cent. 39 cents. Wait, did I say it around the nearest cent? To the nearest cent, 39 cents. There it is. $666, $660,778.39. All right. We got enough. Let's go to page 20. All right, this is our last 3-point question, and then I think we're on to our 4-point question. So 55 students attending the prom will randomly participate in a survey about the music choice at the prom. 60% responded that a DJ would be preferred over a band. Members of the prom committee thought that the vote would have been about 50-50 for the band and the prom. So here we go. We're going to run this trials again. We're running 200 times and a sample size of 55. And this is what we got. So if we run a sample size of 55 based on the premise that 60% would prefer DJ, here's what we got for this approximate normal simulation. Approximately normal simulation. So, using the results of the simulation, determine a plausible interval for the middle 95%. So, if you remember correctly, since this is approximately normal, 95% is approximately plus or minus 2 standard deviations. So what they're really asking you for is to find 2 standard deviations. Well, if I draw this sucker out, and you don't necessarily have to, but if you do, that's great. And it said that the mean was 0.602. So the mean is 0.602. And the standard deviation then would be 0.066. So we're going to add 0.066 twice, and we're going to subtract 0.066 twice. And we got to figure out what those numbers are. So to show your work, you're going to say 0.602 plus 2 times 0.0, was it 0.066? 0.066. And then 0.602 minus 2 times 0.066. Grab our calculator. We'll say 0.602 minus 2 times 0.066. Enter. 0.47. And then we'll do the same thing. We're going to do plus. Plus 0.734. 0.734. So the question says round all values in here. So what interval? So I would say the interval would be, I just wrote woob, would be from 0.47 to 0.734. That would be the middle 95%. Members of the prom committee are concerned that the vote of all students attending the prom may produce a 50-50 split. Explain your reasoning. So, 50-50 split, based on this premise, a 50-50 split is possible because we are 95% sure that our answer is going to be between 47 and 73. So, yes, they have reason to be concerned. Because we are 95% certain that the percentage will be between 47% and 73%, and 50% falls in that range. Hopefully that makes sense, because we knew 95% chance that whatever we come up with, it's going to be between 47 and 73. 50%'s in there, so 50% is plausible. All right, we got one last question. One last. I'm going to stop before. I'm going to do this last one as one last video. Okay. All right, I forgot about this one. All right, so which of the functions shown below has a greater average rate of change over the interval? Slope. That's it. That's all you had to do. So let's do the slope of f of x. So we got to do the slope of f of x from -2 to 4. All right, so we're going to use this point and this point. So slope is f of f of 4 minus f of 2, -2, all over 4 minus -2. So you just had to plug points in. 80 minus 1.25 all over 4 plus 2, which is really 6, right? 4 plus. So 80 minus 1.25, that's got to be 78.75 over 6. So the average, I don't know what I just wrote, average. The average rate of change for f of x is, control division, 78.75 divided by 6 is 13.125. Now we got to do g of x. We're going to do the same thing, but now we got to plug stuff in. So we're going to do g of 4, and we got to figure out what g of -2 is. So this is 4 cubed minus 5 times 4 squared plus 3. Let me do that work for you. I believe that's 179. Then we're going to do 4 -2 cubed minus 5 times -2 squared plus 3. And I believe that to be, is that -49? I'm going to make sure. 4 stow x. So 4x cubed minus 5x squared minus 5x squared. I'd be embarrassed to make a mistake here. So that's 179. And let me do -2 stow x. That's why I do it this way, because now I don't have to retype that one line in. There, enter, enter. And I get -49. So here we're going to do g of 4 minus g of -2 all over 4 minus -2. So that's 179 minus -49 all over 6. And I'm just going to tell you, if you put that in your calculator, you get 38. So you have to answer your question. G of x has a larger average rate of change. Boom. That's it. All right, now we're to the last question. There's a whole lot of reading going on, which scared a bunch of you. You're like, oh my God, reading! It's math. Why am I reading? All right. So it gives us this equation. I'm assuming you've read it. So it gives us this equation. I'm not going to read it to you. And it wants us to create two equations. These are both going to be decays. Okay? We got A of t and B of t. Now, you couldn't use N of t. You had to actually call one of them A of t. So A of t is equal to 800, because it said we're going to start out with 800, e to the negative, what was our rate here? 0.347 t. B, which we'll do in blue, B of t is equal to 400 times e to the negative 0.2 31t. So many people thought that E was something. It's just E. It's that base E. All right, so we got to graph these things on here. So let's see. What was this? The breakdown of a drug. All right, so let's try. I'm just going to go by fives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10. 15. 20. And I got to get up to 800. So let's make every one of these 100. Every two of these 100. 100. I hope this is enough. 200. I think it is. 300. 400. 500. 600, 700 and 800, 700 and 800. I should have done that in a different color, but that's okay. So I'm going to do, since I've got blue, I'm going to go do my table for blue. 0, X, no, excuse me, T, and B of T. All right. I'm just going to get my table from my calculator. I don't know why anybody had a hard time with this one. I'm just going to get my table from my calculator. Oops, got other crap in there. Get rid of it. All right, so it is 400 e to the negative 0.231, and I got to use X. Enter. Oops, can't see it, but I know it's at 800 somewhere. If I go. Let's go, if I change my window, menu, window, let's go window settings. This I'm just going to choose like negative 2 to, I'm going to go to 20 because that's what my scale says. Let's see if that's enough. And I'll go negative 100 to 8. No, let's go to 9. Let's go to 1,000. That should be enough. There it is. Now I see it. Okay. So Control T. I'm probably not going to do every one. I'll do a lot of nice ones. Maybe I'll do every other one. 0, 400. That should be no surprise. 2, 252. I'll put some decimals. Oh, that's 252. 4, 158.7. 5. Now we'll go 6. 6 is 100.0. 6 is 100.0. That's a nice one. 8, 63.0. 10. I mean, you had 3 hours. Why not write them all down? 39.7. You know it's exponential decay, so it's going towards 0. 12 is 25.0. Another nice one to graph. 14 is 15.8. 16, 18, and 20. Let's see if we can get them all on here. 16 is 9.9. 18 is 6.3. And 20 is 3.9. So while I have the blue one in here, I'm going to graph it. 0, 400. It's the next nice one. 2, 252. So that's somewhere around here in the middle. 4, 160. Approximately. 5 was 100. Or no, 6 was 100. 10 was 63. Something like that. No, wait, 8 was 63. I apologize. 8 was 63. 10 was almost 40. 12 was 25. That's right in the middle. 14. Let's go to 16 was like 10. And I think you get the picture. We got a good graph. It's got exponential decay. And you label it B of t. All right, now let's do the other one. I know, it's a pain in the neck. All right, so I'm going to write all these down. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. You would be a lot neater. I know this is 800. So I got to graph this. So let me hit Tab. Oops, Control T. So I hit Tab, 800, parenthesis E. Oh, I don't like that. E to the, I forgot what it was, negative 0.347x. And now I can see that one. All right, so I'll go to Control T. All I want's the red one, so I'm not even going to be in that. Just do this one. Go to the red one. All I want's this. All right, so I knew it was 0, 800. I don't need that one. So 2 is 399.7. Let's do this. So 2 is 399.7. 4 is 199.7. 6 is 99.7. Oh, I should have done this last time. 8 is 49.8. 10 is 24.8. 12 is 12.4. Every time I write a 4, I don't even know what that says. What was 8? 49.8. 49.8. 14 is 6.2. 16 is 3.1. 18 is 1.6. And I think you get the picture. That's plenty to graph. So we're going to start at 800. Notice I'm doing this one in red now. 2 is 400, approximately. 6 is 100. What was 6 over here? Eight is 50. 9 is 25. And you see now they cross over and you graph it. It didn't say where to end or where you had to graph to, just as long as you do that asymptote. And so we say this is A of t. You had to label one of them, by the way. All right, next page. I got to go back and forth. To the nearest hour, when does the amount of the drug remaining in patient B exceed the amount given to patient A? So according to the graph, at 6 hours, the amount in B exceeds the amount in A. Now you can go back and look, but it should be obvious that at 6 hours they're about the same, and that's when red and blue cross over. So that one wasn't bad. And then the final one is actually kind of a nice question. I like this one. It said, when will a patient have only 15% of their drugs, because that's of the dose? Oh, this is when a patient gets to get another 800 milligram dose after they only have 15%. So the first thing you got to do is figure out what 15% is. So you take 800, you multiply by 1.15, and I believe that was 120. And you say, okay, when they have 120 milligrams left in their body, they can take another dose. So the a sub t function was 800 e to the negative 0.347 t is equal to 120. Got to solve for the weird thing. This is the weird thing. Got to get the weird thing alone. So we're going to divide by 800. So we get e to the negative 0.347 t is equal to, I'm just going to put 12 over 80. 12 over 80, that's good enough. Now this is an exponential function. In order to turn it into a logarithmic function, it's all about that base, all about that base. So this is natural logs, base e, and then these two things switch. So the natural log base e of those two things switch, of 12 over 80 is equal to negative 0.347 t. Now you remember we don't really need this e here, so we don't need it. It's understood to be e. You don't have to, but I put it there just when I make the switch. And we're going to divide by negative 0.347 to finally get what t is. So t is equal to, now I come over to my calculator, I type in the natural log of 12 divided by 80. I could do 12 over 120 over 800 if I wanted to, divided by negative 0.347. Bam. 5.467. 5.467. This said rounded to the nearest tenth of an hour. So the answer, the final answer is equal to 5.5 hours. Make sure you don't have two things highlighted or boxed in. 5.5 hours is the answer. Okay, kids, that ends this. All right, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, send me a few comments. Tell me what you think. Hopefully this helped you out, and hopefully it will help you out on the next Common Core test. All right, guys, catch you on the flip side. Good luck on that Regents exam. Goodbye. No, really, goodbye. I've been with you long enough. Goodbye.